Tonight, 2 dead from a suspected ram attack. Police investigate after an elderly couple are found dead in a West Auckland paddock. Buildings destroyed and roofs lifted off homes in the US as multiple states are struck by tornadoes. Plus, they're up on their tippy toes trying to reach a record. So, did these ballerinas do it? Good evening. Police are investigating the deaths of an elderly couple after a suspected attack by a ram in West Auckland. A relative told One News the pair in their 80s were hobby farmers and kept animals on their rural property. Police say another person was attacked by the ram and officers were also confronted. Colin Miller reports.
A family still in shock as they process the sudden death of 2 people they love early this morning.
Everyone's in shock as to what's happened. They're very upset.
Police were called to the Anzac Valley Road farm just before 7:30. St John also sent 4 vehicles, including 2 ambulances. But the husband and wife were found dead in one of their paddocks.
My auntie and her husband live at this property. They've lived here for about 8 years. Unfortunately, they've both lost their lives through a tragic accident.
In the last half hour, police confirmed a ram was at the paddock when they were called. It had also attacked a third person who was injured, but not seriously. The ram also confronted officers who shot and killed the animal. Their nephew says the couple, who were in their 80s, were hobby farmers. He'd got the call from his dad, who told him what happened.
I feel like I was dreaming it, actually. It was a bit of shock being told what had happened, and I just didn't believe it. So I've come down here to support my cousins and the wider family.
Fed Farmers says while deaths due to farm animals were rare, mating season can make them more volatile.
You know, hormones all go into mating season, so that they are more aggravated and sometimes at this time of the year.
He says it's a reminder to farmers to take care as he shared his condolences with the family.
They are nice people, they didn't deserve what happened.
The police investigation is still ongoing. Colin Miller, One News.
Blue Cliffs residents fighting to save their houses on an eroding coastline claim there's a lack of willingness from some involved to work together to fund a solution. The small settlement west of Invercargill wants Meridian Energy to help, but the council says the situation is complex. Our reporter in the south, Jared McCulloch, explains.
Erosion continues to knock on the doors of these Blue Cliffs homes, and owners pushing for a long-term fix want to see all parties helping.
It's always been the elephant in the room.
He's talking about Meridian Energy and its Manapore hydro power scheme. This is a control gate 70 kilometres upstream from the township, which is used to manage lake levels. And Blue Cliffs locals believe the operation, alongside the rough coastal environment and storms, has contributed to the loss of land here.
It's fine sediment which needs to come down the river because it's that fine sediment that armours the bar down here and prevents it from moving around so much and causing these problems.
But a recent council report suggested the operation upstream has likely had an insignificant contribution. Residents, though, now concerned Meridian's applying for consent to flush even more water down the river. The power company acknowledges it's a distressing time for homeowners, but in a statement says the proposal has no relationship with coastal erosion. It says the ongoing impacts of climate change will lead to more examples of Blue Cliffs around the country. Meridian says it's working with local councils to try and find a solution. Homeowners want the government to be part of that too.
We want to all get in the room and actually nut this out because we're only a few major weather events away from everything being too late for a number of households.
Many residents oppose managed retreat. They want rock wall protection here.
From the Southern District Council, I mean, we don't have any capacity to fund.
The local council's already tried opening the gravel bar to redirect the flow of water away from properties, to no avail. The mayor says everything is on the table, but that the solution needs to be affordable and practical.
It's a very complex situation and there isn't an easy solution. They're staring us in the face. The fact that they're a small community doesn't mean that they're not important.
Residents hoping a decision's made before it's too late. Jared McCulloch, One News.
Sir Colin Giltrap, a businessman and influential figure in the motorsport world, has died. The founder of Giltrap Group had been unwell since suffering a fall in London last year. He had a lifelong passion for cars and was knighted in 2012 for his services to motorsport and philanthropy. He was also a big supporter of New Zealand drivers, including Scott Dixon and Hayden Paddon. Sir Colin was 84. 4 more years, that is the time owners of quake-prone buildings have been given to complete strengthening work. The breathing space comes as a review of regulations is brought forward. Here's Abby Wakefield.
When a 6.3 magnitude quake struck Christchurch in 2011, buildings were destroyed and 185 lives claimed. The tragedy led to the introduction of an earthquake-prone building system in 2017. Originally set to be reviewed in 3 years, the government's decided to do it now.
We've heard from around the country that the current rules are unworkable. Look, they were set up in good faith following the Canterbury earthquake tragedies, and it's just proven in the meantime that it's unaffordable for many people to do the remediation to that standard.
Building owners are being given a 4-year extension to get strengthening work done.
I think it's a low-grade stress sitting there all the time for people who are earthquake-prone building owners. For the people in the buildings that are trying to navigate through this, it's very time-consuming.
In Wellington City alone, there are more than 500 buildings that need attention.
I think Minister Peck has done a great job at listening to the community.
All up nationwide, there are more than 5,000 buildings deemed at risk, including 1,500 in Auckland. Hamilton has just under 200 and Palmerston North is similar. Down south, there are still around 600 earthquake-prone buildings in Christchurch and 162 in Invercargill.
Another challenge is the number of heritage buildings we have, especially in those small towns.
The government's set to look at overseas examples of seismic strengthening.
In Japan, they tend to have more of a culture of demolishing and building new.
The best thing you can do is to either upgrade or demolish unsafe buildings. That takes a little bit of backbone on the part of the government.
Cabinet will agree to the review's terms of reference next month. Abby Wakefield, One News.
Massive disruption continues for travellers at Dubai Airport after the heaviest rainfall in more than 75 years. Nearly 300 flights to and from the world's second busiest airport have had to be cancelled and more than 400 delayed. Flights headed to Dubai from Auckland Airport have also been affected. And you can see why. Runways have been turned into lakes, with a spokesperson warning recovery will take some time. At least 20 people have been killed in the Gulf states during the extreme flooding, with experts saying these sorts of weather events are likely to keep happening.
It's likely that this storm was kind of supercharged by climate change because there's just more moisture available in the air for any storm system to then precipitate out.
Emergency services have been kept busy with rescues like this one of a cat clinging for dear life to a car door. Might only have 8 lives left now. Well, still to come, millions across multiple states in the US take shelter as more than a dozen tornadoes tear through the country. Plus, allegations Boeing 787 Dreamliners could fall apart mid-flight, and engineers warning over the safety of the commercial planes. Welcome back to the US, where millions of people are tonight under severe weather warnings, with at least 16 tornadoes striking multiple states. The storm system now travelling towards the country's northeast, as ABC's Rob Marciano explains.
Tonight, an outbreak of powerful storms barreling east, targeting millions for a third straight night. High winds and torrential rain hammering Detroit's airport. Tornado sirens sounding in Michigan's capital. The warnings forcing House lawmakers to take shelter in the basement for a time.
Look at that funnel.
More than 100 damaging storm reports in the last 24 hours.
It's in the field behind us.
Storm chasers north of Houghton, Iowa, practically engulfed by a forming tornado.
Oh my gosh!
Then riding alongside it as it regenerates into a monster EF2 wedge. Winds of over 110 miles per hour. Not far from there in New London, devastating damage to multiple homes. Residents coming from miles around to help clean up. And just north of Kansas City in Smithville, Missouri, families cleaning up after a 95-mile-per-hour EF1 tornado ripped off roofs and upended Kevin Kemp's whole life.
It's just a gut punch to know that, this is all I had.
A new system threatening the same area again tonight.
Hundreds of people have been evacuated in Indonesia as a volcano erupts for a second day. The eruptions were triggered by recent earthquakes in the region. Officials had been concerned part of the volcano could collapse into the sea, causing a tsunami. No deaths or injuries have been reported. Part of the International Space Station crashed into a home in Florida last month, tearing through a ceiling. NASA only now confirming that the 700-gram metal object was part of hardware which was dumped when new batteries were installed. The space agency had expected the items to burn up on entry into the atmosphere. A Boeing engineer turned whistleblower has told US lawmakers 787 Dreamliners could fall apart in flight due to flaws in the way they're put together. It's just the latest in a long line of hits to the troubled plane maker, but as ABC's Gio Benitez reports, Boeing's contesting the claims.
Tonight, Boeing scrutinized on Capitol Hill, the company under fire for months after that door plug flew off a Boeing 737 MAX 9 at 16,000 feet.
I have serious concerns about the safety of the 787 and 777 aircraft.
Whistleblower Sam Salapur, an engineer who's worked with Boeing for 17 years, alleging that 787 Dreamliners are at risk of breaking apart in midair after extensive use because, he says, the fuselage isn't fastened together properly.
I have raised these issues over 3 years. I was ignored.
Salapur was eventually moved from the 787 program to the 777, where he says he saw more issues.
I literally saw people jumping on the pieces of the airplane to get them to align.
But during the hearing, the whistleblower provided no evidence to support his claims. Boeing halted 787 deliveries for nearly 2 years to address these issues. The FAA signed off on the fixes. The company standing behind its fleet, saying a 787 can safely operate for at least 30 years before needing expanded airframe maintenance routines, extensive and rigorous testing of the fuselage, and heavy maintenance checks of nearly 700 in-service airplanes to date have found zero evidence of airframe fatigue, and that they are fully confident in the 777, which has safely flown more than 3.9 billion passengers around the world. Boeing has been pushing back hard against these claims, saying that these aircraft, they're safe. Do you believe them?
The aircraft as a whole may be safe insofar as people getting on planes shouldn't panic. But they need to be made fully safe.
And Air New Zealand, which operates 14 Boeing Dreamliners, says it has its own engineer specialists helping with the assembly of its own aircraft. Well, just ahead, it's shaping up to be a rainy Friday for parts of the country, plus the ballet battle in New York. Dancers flocking for an attempt at a world record. Welcome back. There's been a sea of tutus and ballet slippers in New York as hundreds of dancers gathered en masse. Their aim to break the record for the most dancers en pointe at the same time. So, did they do it? ABC's David Muir has the results.
Tonight in New York City at the famed Plaza Hotel on Fifth Avenue, an incredible sight. 500 ballerinas from across the country coming together, and all for a good cause, raising awareness for the nonprofit Youth America Grand Prix, a ballet scholarship program helping dancers across America. All of the dancers getting ready to simultaneously perform that famous ballet move, dancing on point on their tiptoes, all together for 60 seconds straight. Ages 9 to 19 tying their ballet shoes, each with their own number, and then the countdown.
3, 2, 1, go!
Their hands in the air, Tchaikovsky playing, smiling the entire time, on their tiptoes for 1 minute.
3, 2, 1.
They did it. Right here tonight, 10-year-old Adriana.
It was just a really special moment.
14-year-old Kaya.
It was a proud moment for all of us ballet dancers.
10-year-old Jennifer.
I have never broken a record before, and it was really exciting.
and 10-year-old Elendi.
I enjoy just being on point with everybody else.
Oh, to tomorrow's weather now with Leon and Dancer.
I've been lost, staring at the ceiling. Here it comes. Afraid I caught a feeling, and I fell so fast, and now it's gone in my head, and it's cruel. Now I'm lost. And it's true.
That is it from us here on Tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Kumanaho. Good night.